of this book, Serpent Power by Sir Arthur Avalon. It's kind of complicated for most people, but it's online at our website. You can download it for free. .org. mysticknowledge.org. You're familiar with this subject. I see we got some new. Okay.
Try to stimulate this.
All right. And Marlene? Not at all? Okay. All right then, so bear with me. Sometime I use a lot of Sanskrit terminology. If you don't understand it, just ask me. Okay. Last week we went into this right here last week, which is like an introduction into it, where we talked about the mystic constitution of man, right? The makeup, the subtle makeup of the body, so that you can begin to understand the complex. Okay. So that you can begin to understand the how this whole thing flows. Okay. Let them get the sound right.
Testing. Hello.
Now, I gave you a couple of handouts, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. Before we touch on that, I just want to go back over some of the stuff we went over last week. I say a lot of people miss this, right? And because why? Because it's not glamorous, you know. In the commercial world of yoga or trying to, you know, promote this type of knowledge, they always give you surface information, and they never really go into the deep aspects of this subject. Most of them don't know. That's what I came to realize. The soul is the body of the spirit. The spirit is a divine spark of God. All of us are spirit. The real you is spirit. Spirit is unmanifested. Why is it unmanifested? Because spirit was always here. Spirit had no beginning and will have no end. Spirit is that part of God, which is us. Okay? All of us have a spirit. All of us are connected and a part of the whole, which is the absolute, which is God. Okay? So, spirit produces the soul, manifests the soul. The soul is actually manifested. The soul is manifested. So what does spirit do? Spirit, following the directive of the absolute, wants to involve itself. So what does it do? It creates, it manifests a body for itself so that that body can manifest itself through all the physical realms and gain experience in countless physical realms as an involved being or consciousness, because spirit has all the answers, all the knowledge, all everything. Now, why did it do that? We don't know. The most ancient books say we have no reason. I mean, we have no reason or why the absolute decided to divide a small segment of its being, all right, which is spirit, which is each one of us. So spirit creates this soul or manifests this soul. So then soul has a beginning, it has an end. All right, soul is not everlasting, and yet it is. Because why? Because soul came from spirit. Okay? So soul will go back to spirit, but not as soul, but not as the soul. It'll go back to the spirit as the spirit. Okay? So everything will be absorbed back into the one. Okay? Into that divine spark, and the divine spark never left the one or the whole. So Kundalini or Tantra Yoga is all about making that journey back to spirit through soul. Okay? The whole action or kriyas, right, of the soul is about managing the power of spirit. Okay? Now, I use terminologies so that you can begin to understand, because what is Shiva? The absolute, which is spirit, right? Then what is Shatti? It's the manifestation of Shiva, right? It came from Shiva. And it's the what? It's the all-pervasive energy of the universe, okay? So what this Shiva created the soul pulled on Shatti in order to build its body, in order to build its many, many levels, right? The soul, when the soul pulled on Shatti, that's come back down to earth, the soul reached out and pulled on the most potent Shatti available for it, like we talking about the beings on this earth, it pulled on the most potent power. What is the most potent power here on earth? The logos of the earth, right? So what did the soul do? The soul pulled on the Shatti power, leaving the sun, as Augustine said, that was modified by the logos of this earth, right? And the reflected energy modified by the moon, right? And with these three energies, it built an indestructible body for itself, called the auric body. Okay? This auric body takes mankind or the individual throughout what? Throughout countless incarnations. Okay? Because we are reincarnated over and over and over. Okay? So when the soul takes the energy from the logos, it builds this indestructible body that cannot be destroyed. And this body houses all the other bodies. All the other bodies, whether it's the etheric body, the astral body, the mental bodies, the physical body, is all housed in the auric body. Even the nadi system, the chakra system, is all within the auric body. It's that indescribable body. Now, if you go out through all the Bibles, you will see this reference, but it won't be this clear. Okay? If you go back to the most popular book in this country, or the Western world, which is the Holy Bible, right? Or the Torah, you will see that in Genesis, it talks about that the body of Adam was what? Was formed from what? From the earth. It was formed from the earth. What it actually means is that the body was formed from the logos of the earth, right? See? That's what it actually means. In other words, and that's on any planet you will go to live on. In order to actually live on that planet and be reincarnated or have millions and millions of lifetimes on that planet, the mystic or the most respectable way is to enter the earth through the logos of the earth. And then you become a child or an offspring of that earth, and you can tap into all the resources of that particular planet. So in the Torah, in Genesis, even in the Hindu text, you'll find that this is what they tell you, that man came through the earth. Man was formed from the earth. And it actually means the logos. And what they was actually talking about was the auric body, because of course, in the Genesis, it's in parables. What does it talk about? It talks about the fact that later on, Adam realized that he was naked. Of course, the auric body needs no clothing, right? Just like the auric body of this earth is what? It appears clear and naked, right? The atmosphere of this earth is the auric body of this, at least part of the auric body that we can recognize, see, and and live and have our being, as Paul said in Acts, right? Because why? Because without the atmosphere of this earth, what happens to the life forms of this earth? Can't exist. Can't sustain. So everything lives within the auric body of this earth, and everything lives within the auric body of us. And this auric body will take you from lifetime, from life to life to life to life to life, until you reach the point of ascension on this planet, where you absorb the auric body back and you fuse all the body into a risen body, as Jesus did, as Sri Krishna did, as Buddha did, as Laoze did, as Zoroaster did. Over and over and over through history, when you see the resurrection of these great beings, they appear to have no aura, although the aura was there. But the aura was a part of their full makeup, of their physical, subtle, and ultra subtle existence, because they pulled on this great strength to do whatever they became Supermans. So because the logos of the earth, the energy of the logos of the earth gives you tremendous power. In fact, the Kundalini that we're talking about comes from where? Huh? The logos of the earth. It comes from the logos of the earth. Okay? We borrow this Kundalini power in order to shape and mold our consciousness. Because remember, the soul was manifested from the soul, from the spirit. Therefore, the soul has no consciousness. It's above consciousness. The soul was so connected to the spirit that it is all aware, because it's aware of the spirit. And the spirit have this omnipresence because it's connected to what? The absolute. All right? So the soul is aware and has this omni-type presence or thing about it because it lives on a cosmic level. Cosmic being universal, right? So it's aware of all the realms of existence. But what it does, it has a mission. So it have to involve a part of itself in order to carry out that mission, right? It was given a directive by spirit to do what? To involve itself, right? So what it does, it moves and creates an auric body for itself, a body of substance. And then it pulls on the shatti, it pulls on the shatti power, and it brings the shatti power within that body of substance, right? Now, within every where within the universe, there's frequencies of power, and there's realms of existence throughout the whole universe, right? We know from studying the text, the ancient text, that there's a such thing called what? Anybody know? The Brahmanati. What is the Brahmanati? The Brahmanati is a sacred flow of energy. It's that great silver lining within everything in manifestation, okay? So the Brahmanati actually exists within Shushumna. Do everybody know what that is? Everybody know what the Shushumna is? Where is Shushumna? Is if we locate it within the body, it's within the spinal column, right? So within the spinal column is the Brahmanati. But before the spinal column was placed around this Shushumna, right? It still exists. Because why? Nati actually means what? A flow of energy. Okay, that's all nadi means. It's a flow of energy. Okay, so the Brahmanati is within this auric body, and this is a sacred flow of energy. And around the Brahmanati, you have three other flows of energy that actually surrounds this Brahmanati. I think I put it in one of the. I gave a little small diagram of it. Look on sheet number 3. So what happens is this Brahmanati, the soul locates this Brahmanati, this flow of sacred energy within this auric substance, and it pushes it down through the auric substance, down through the main flow of energy of major chakras, because the chakras also are what? What is the significant thing about the chakras that most people totally miss?
The realms of consciousness.
They are realms of consciousness. They are realms of consciousness. They're actually realms of consciousness. That's what they are. So what did the soul did? The soul realized that. And the soul realized that the best way to affect these different realms of consciousness and collect the tremendous, endless knowledge of space within each realm of consciousness is by collecting that information or knowledge through the Brahmanati. So what did it do? It pushes this shatti power. And shatti power is really just raw energy that can be molded and shaped by what? Mind. By chitta. Okay? This universal mind substance is one of the great principles of creation. Mind is an energy, okay? And it's a primary energy within the shatti power, right? But it has to be activated by the soul or the spirit, okay? And it's activated by what? How is it activated? Huh? By what? Yeah. How do you activate this mind power to control the shatti power? Huh? Well, it's more than that. I told you this 100 times. Huh? No, because because we're going to show how Kundalini came about. Through sound. See? Why? Because you have what? Yeah, it's a vibration. Now, but you have para sound, right? What is para sound? Soundless sound. You have this soundless sound, right? This soundless sound is what? It's how what? God spoke the word, and what happened? Huh? And what? Creation came about. See? So when God spoke the word, in the Vedas they talk about vak, which the initial sound, right? And with that initial sound, creation came about. All right? This great universal power radiating, that's actually within the shatti power being released from Shiva, from the absolute, from God. It began to move and make and bring form and shape and objects to the great shatti power, and worlds, universe, the galaxies, the solar systems came about. Okay, and from that came life. Okay, so this, it uses this because the soul spoke the word, pulled the shatti within itself, and pushed it down through the realms of existence, collecting this great knowledge and molding this shatti power into what is called Kundalini. Because once it reaches the base chakra, the Muladhara chakra, is the perfect place for the shatti power to move into a dormant state of existence because of the pressures there. All right? The pressures there at the Muladhara chakra is perfect to bring about the dormancy of the shatti power and reveals the Shiva once again. All right? So that's what the great teachings tell us. Now, when you look at it, you have Shiva at the top, right? And then you take this Shatti power, which wrapped up into, you take it down through to the base chakra, which is the Muladhara chakra, right? And it goes into this dormant state, and it says that it reveals the Shiva power. Now, why does it say that?
An aspect of.
Huh?
It reveals an aspect of Shiva.
Yes, because why? It goes into this dormant state, right? Huh?
Pure potential.
Pure potential, endless potential, right? Because Shiva represents endless potential. See? And the journey of this gave this great balance because we have how many? We have 4 petals, right? We have 4. And what is BJ's?
Seed mantra.
Seed mantras, right? And it's most famously called, right? Petals. But it's actually a seed mantra. A mantra is what? Mantra is a sound vibration. Mantra is a sound vibration. It's a subtle sound vibration. Okay? So that we know. Now, it is perfect there. And the Kundalini is formed from this Shiva, from the karmic pressures that's there. Kundalini is wrapped. The Shatti power forms what's called a 3.5 knot. Everybody heard of this, right? Huh? A 3.5 knot. This 3.5 knot is actually a 3.5 energy configuration that produces Kundalini. Now, at this point, Kundalini becomes a vehicle of consciousness for the soul. Okay? The soul have molded the Shatti power into a state of consciousness. By doing what? By collecting and connecting it to all, to the third eye, which is the Christ center, or ajna, to the throat chakra, to the heart chakra, to the solar plexus chakra, the sex chakra, and down to the base chakra. Okay? Now, to those major 7 chakras, of course, there's 108 chakras within this egg-shaped auric substance. There's actually 108 of them. Now that the dormant power of Kundalini, now that the Shatti power have went into this dormant state, and in the ancient books, it says that the whole becomes the not whole, okay? And the not whole is, when it goes in this dormant state, over 90% of it becomes dormant, and only a small percentage becomes vital. And what happened, it splits. This energy splits itself. It becomes a positive flow of energy and a negative flow of energy. And that's how you have the Pingala, nadis, right? And the idol nadis, right? And this negative energy begins to, it begins to look for the equilibrium. Because why? It wants to unite again. It wants to be whole again. So it moves up and it goes through all the chakras, looking for that, that balance. And it terminates itself at the Christ chakra, or what a lot of people call the third eye. Okay? Okay? Everybody, have I lost anybody? Huh? Everybody understand? Okay, so now when we get here, what happens is that as the flow of energy flows from the base of the chakra, it creates 200 and, what is it? 42,000 nadi pathways. I've been up around the clock for the last week or so, doing a government proposal, so I'm kind of out of it. Okay, it creates these nadi pathways. Now, these 242,000 nadi pathways becomes the flow of what within you? Vital energy. It's not only vital energy, but it's mental energy, right? It's mental and what? Vital energies. Which is called pranas. Okay? Now, when these energies intersect, right, it creates consciousness. Okay? When these energies intersect within the chakras, it creates levels of consciousness. Okay? This is what the ancient Upanishads and Vedas tell us. This is nothing new. This is ancient knowledge. Now, you'll notice that it also tells us that within the chakra, right? Within the chakra, what happens if you have 6 petals or seed mantras within that chakra, right? These nadis travel to that chakra and enter those petals. It enters and exits, right? And this is where they intersect. And this is what calls your levels of consciousness. Your consciousness is not within your brain. Your consciousness is within the chakras. Okay? Every chakra is a different level of consciousness for you. And you operate like that. Okay? So the brain is on a receiving set. And scientists have mapped this for I don't know, decades now, or maybe over 100 years. Because they noticed that what happens if I touch this table to see whether it's cold, hot, or whatever, what happens? There's an exchange. And what it goes, the information leaves my fingertips, which the yogis say there's minor chakras within the fingertips, right? And there's a major chakra within the center of the hand, right? It goes up, it goes to my spine, it goes down the spine and back up to the brain, go back down, there's a double relay, and then I know whether it's cold or not. And it moves tremendously fast. The mystics say that this mental energy moves 4 million times the speed of light within the body. Okay? 4 million times. They said this a long time ago. So the thing is that this is how your consciousness, this is how the soul builds a consciousness, okay, within the chakras. It's this flow of energy. Now, one of the key things that most people miss, you got a question? One of the key things that most people miss is that this flow of energy, which carries consciousness, right, or thoughts, right? This is the psychic energy that you seek to control. This is the psychic energy. The nadis, the flow of energy, the prana within the body, it becomes psychic energy. It's the psychic energy that you want to control. So it takes a lot to control it. It takes a lot to control it, you know. In fact, when you do begin to control it, the first thing that begins to happen to you is what? Anyone knows?
Visions.
Not only visions, what's the physical thing that happens to you? Huh?
Spike.
Spike in what? Spike in your sexual desires. And that's why, for many years, people claimed that it was so dangerous. And that is, you know, what it does, it makes you highly sexual. Right? Why is that so? Because you have the base of the spine, right? The first chakra that begins to open is what? The sex chakra. Then you have the solar plexus. So what happens? When you begin to control this flow of energy, because the energy leaves here and comes here, right? And the first level of control you have to bring about, you brought some control because because your self-consciousness leads you to this type of teaching, right? So the next thing you do, you begin to bring about, which is the first limb of yoga, which is Yama. You begin to bring about control over your thoughts and actions. That's what Yama is, to bring control over your thoughts and actions. So when you do that, you begin to gain a greater flow of control over the sex center. But the visions that he talk about you have, the first visions you begin to have, is sexually oriented. You know? So you have to control this in order to move to the next level. Okay? And this at the sex center, this is where our consciousness resides. The basic consciousness actually resides at the sex center. Okay, and there's no question about that. Only thing you have to do is just look around yourself. And if I want to tap into electricity, what do? I take a male plug and I plug it into a female receptacle, right? And the energy flows, right? It's the science from this level of consciousness. Almost everything we built around us has flow like that. You know, it's this male-female play of energy, okay? So we have created the world of the sex chakra. Only recently we began to come to this level and to the heart level to begin to deal with science. Now they're working on fusion, right? They figure within 10 years, they estimate they're going to have this, it's one in London, and they're doing it here in this country too, where they have a number of scientists from around the world in this country working on this energy that would never, you'll never have to replenish it, because they think they have figured out how to bring about the perfect type. What type of energy they call it? No, it's called. It escapes my mind now. But the perfect fusion, like the sun, where it feeds off itself. Okay, and it's not until you get to the upper chakras that you begin to tap into that type of mind energy that you can begin to bring about those devices. Okay, just like the whole computer science, that's still here, but it's here too, and it's a little bit here, but it's still a combination of both because of the way we use it. Okay, but it's from these different levels, and when you can go back and you can study this, don't take my word for anything, go back and study these ancient teachings and you'll see that it's there. Everything that we create around us, it resembles the body and the functions of the body and the function of these ancient teachings. That's at least the function of the energy. You know, a car breathes, right? It does what? It drinks, you know, and it needs a certain amount of food, gasoline and oil, right? It acts just like it works just like a human body.
And a good spark.
Yeah, a good spark. It needs it, right? So you'll see that we created, everything around us is created to resemble our bodies, okay? So that's the first, so in the first thing in this system, and you got 8 limbs of yoga, right? Didn't I list the 8 limbs of yoga there? It's in one of the packages. It was last week's package, we talked about it? So I gave it to, yeah. So you have Yama, huh? Okay. So in the 8 limbs of yoga, you have Yama, you have niyama, right? You have asana, pratyahara, and pranayama, concentration, contemplation, and meditation. These are the 8 limbs of yoga given thousands of years ago by the Swami Patanjali, who was a great bodhisattva that came to earth. And there, he subscribed a system of development for us that, that will take us to meditation, to a meditative state, okay? There's some history that says that the first students that actually practiced this, they became very powerful and became black musicians. And mainly because they did not do these two. Okay? So, Yama is the control of thoughts and actions. All your thoughts, all your actions. One of the first things of Yama is to control sex. You have to control sex. Because sex is what? It's the life energy of the body. Right? You have 5 major pranas flowing through your body. Which is the one for sex? Anyone remember? No one remember? Jnana. What does Jnana do? Huh? It what? It circulates throughout the entire body. Okay? It circulates throughout the entire body. It is the life force of the body. It's the life force and it's the mental energy wrapped in one. Okay? So, what happens in the first lesson they teach you in Hatha Yoga, in any yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Hatha Yoga, if you're being taught properly, right? Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Tantra Yoga, it teaches you must control the flow, the sex energy. You must bring it under some type of control, all right? Because if you don't, you risk yourself and you will stunt your spiritual growth, okay? So that's the first thing they teach you, and that's Yama. Then the next thing they teach you is that you must observe the divine in your control of your thought and actions. You must give a preference to the divine. In other words, you must devote yourself to God through Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is devotion to the, to the absolute. Okay? Then you get into Asana, which is a form of Hatha Yoga and a preparation for Kundalini Yoga, right? Because it is the mudras, the positions of power. That's what it actually is. It's the positions you place your body in order to receive the powers, the siddhis. Okay? That's what this is. It's a series of Mudra Yogas. There's 5 different types of Mudra Yogas. There's Mudra Yogas for the head. There's Mudra Yogas for the arms. There's Mudra Yogas for the hands. There's Mudra Yogas for the legs, or the full body, where you lock your body into different positions. Now that you have touched on the essentials, because with Yama, you need Jnana Yoga, right? You also need Karma Yoga, because Jnana Yoga gives you the knowledge and the wisdom to know what the law is, the law of karma, right? And then you move to Bhakti Yoga, which is devotion to the absolute, right? Then now you know how to position your body and mind in order to begin to receive the great powers from God, from God, the soul, the absolute, or whatever you want to call it. You know the proper positions to place the body. Then you have to teach yourself pratyahara. What is pratyahara? Pratyahara is being able to withdraw the senses. Okay? Be able to withdraw the senses from the outside world and concentrate on the inner world. The inner functioning is just what we just talked about. We just talked about the inner world here. You know, this whole thing was talking about the flow of this subtle energy, this sacred energy from the gods, okay? And don't get nervous because I say gods, because all of you are gods. So, but we're talking about the gods, like in the holy teachings, they talk about the Mahabindus, which is the mighty sun, which is the moon, the earth. These are, if you look at it and you look at what they do, these are gods. They're gods. You know, we live and move and have our being, as Paul said, within where? The earth. We live and move and have our being within what? The solar system, right? And we live and move and have our being under the great protection of the moon. Because if the moon wasn't there, all of us would be underwater. The conditions of Earth would not be livable. It's that magnetic pull of the moon that levels the tides out. So we live and move and have our beings within these great gods, okay? So what we have to do is begin to withdraw the senses, learn to withdraw the senses from the outside world. Patanjali said that stop the modifications, because we're so busy listening and responding to outside noise that half our day is lost, you know, and we allow it to affect us. We constantly allow it to affect us. The airplanes, the cars, the neighbors' kids, the cars, you know, the stopping of a car, the noise, you know, all this outside. Because why? We depend on our sensory perception to define our movements and what we want to do. And they're only tools for the soul, for you. So it teaches you to withdraw your senses and recognize, be still and know that you are what? God or gods, okay? That comes from the Bible, as a matter of fact. And it comes from the I Ching. But that's something you know, that's how to stop this modification, this valence level of your consciousness that's connected to the outside world. And then you begin to communicate with your higher self, who's in constant communication with the soul, okay? And that's where you want to be. Now, the next thing it teaches you is pranayama, right? Pranayama is what? It's the control of what? Of breath, right? Or the control of the subtle pranas within the body. You have 5 major pranas. You have the prana that's centrally located here is called what? Udana, right? Then you have the heart, the prana that's here that flows down and back up is called prana, right? Or vayu, right? Then you have the prana within the solar plexus center, which is a prana that transform and transmute things, which is what? Samana, right? Then you have the prana within the sex center, which we just talked about, which is Vyana. And then you have, which travels all through the body, right? Then you have the prana within the base of the spine, which is Apana, right? Which travels up, right? And then back down, right? Because it travels up, it meets the prana and the samana, because the samana point is a conjunction point for all the pranas. Because the Udana prana travels down the arms, right? and it also travels down through the legs. There's the legs, and then it also travels up to the head. Okay, so everything passes through the solar plexus. The Samyama prana is the conjunction point. Now, we're taught that the left nostril, right, and the right nostril is the way to begin to control the flow of energy of the what? The nadis, right? Because why? Because you breathe the values, right, through the nostrils in order to enter the physical body. And the physical body is connected to the astral body, the mental body, the etheric body, and the auric body. So you can begin to control and take control over the subtle energies through controlling the breath through breathing exercises that's coupled with visualization, right? Mudra, mantra, right? Mantra, and what's the other one? And concentration, contemplation, and then eventually meditation, right? So now when you think about it, you take in prana how many ways? 3 ways, right? You take in prana through what? Through water, right? If you stop drinking, what happens? Yeah, after about 7 days you die, right? If you take in prana through eating, right? Well, after 30 to maybe you might last 60 days if you in some type of shape, you die. And you take in prana through what? Breath. Now, after 5 minutes, you lose consciousness and you die. So the most important method of taking in this energy is prana, is through breath. So breath is the key because why? It holds consciousness, right? If you stop breathing, you lose consciousness. If you become dehydrated, you lose consciousness. Okay? Yes. So this is the 5th limb. This is the 5th limb of yoga that teaches you. And this connects, this is with all the 10 major yogas, right? This is used in all the yogas, pranayama. Pranayama is used in all the yogas. Now, of course, all of this is used in all the yogas too. But in the most minute aspect of all the yogas, pranayama is used. The 8 limbs of yoga is something that's used in all 10 yogas. Okay? It's the key to use all 10 yogas, as a matter of fact. Now, the next one is concentration. The 6th limb is concentration. Concentration is being able to direct your thoughts down one direction without any type of fluctuation, without thinking about anything else. And it's not an easy task. Okay, it's not an easy task at all. So, but you have to train. There's many, many methods of training your mind to think of one thing and nothing else. And when you can do that, you gain the control of subtle energy, right? You gain that control of subtle energy. And when you gain that control of subtle energy, then it takes you to the next level where now your mind really can control the flow of this prana. And when that happens, it takes you to the next level of contemplation. And contemplation is when you have gained control of your thoughts through concentration, But now you have the ability to take that concentration to contemplation, and contemplation allows you to fuse the physical senses with your astral senses, okay? When you bring the physical senses and the astral senses together, it produces psychic sense. Because why? I told you gain control over what? The flow of what? Of prana, right? And the flow of prana is what? The nadis. The nadis actually means the flow of prana. So when you gain control over your concentration, your thoughts, you gain control over the flow of energy within the nadis. Remember, your thoughts are brought about through what? Through an intersection of what? Of nadis within the chakras. Remember? So, let me go back a little bit. I can reach this. When the nadis is a flow of energy, okay? Make that plural. It's a flow of energies. Now, when this flow of energy intersects, when it intersects when it intersects 7 times, you have a minute chakra, okay? When it intersects 14 times, you have a minor chakra. When it intersects 21 times, there's a major chakra. Now, what is a chakra? It's what? It's a realm of consciousness, but it's a realm of consciousness, right? And what do you say? A realm of existence too. It's both. Okay? So now that you can concentrate for long periods of time, and I mean long periods of time, 6 to 12 hours on one thing, right? Without any type of interruption on your behalf, right? Then you gain contemplation, okay? In fact, if you can go 12 hours, you can gain meditation. Now, when you control the flow of these energies within the nadis, what happens is that you increase the flow to the level where it moves up and it brings about a balance in the upper and the right and left hemispheres of your brain and your chakras, okay? To allow you to begin to merge the senses, and then you can see on the psychic planes, on the realms of existence. Now, when you go to sleep tonight, your astral body is going to leave your physical body, and it's going to wander around somewhere. It's going to go to those places that you enjoy going to. It's going to repeat the things that you did. Because why? Because you have no control over it. The astral body is attracted to emotional type affairs or energy. So it's going to go back to those places that you enjoy doing and suck up that energy. And if you enjoy doing something very physical, then you're going to wake up the next morning feeling really tired, you know? Because why? The astral body is going to go and repeat those things. Now, the astral body has sight, sound. It can make voice. It can hear. It can taste. It can smell. And a lot of times, it's the thing inside you that bring about the confusion in your thought process. But when you begin to control the flow of this energy by controlling your mind through these techniques, you can begin to take those astral senses and merge those astral senses with the physical senses, and you can begin to experience these psychic abilities that people talk about so much. Now, once you do that, the yogis are taught that you pick up a technique called Samyama. Everybody heard of Samyama? Samyama is a technique where you take a Samyama on something, you begin to study something on the physical and psychic levels. You drain all the information out of that. But you do it in a way, in a very impersonal way. You don't do it for with the wrong intent. You do it just to gain the knowledge and information and familiarize yourself with that. That's the technique you use with contemplation. What will happen? After a while, the contemplation you'll be able to merge the psychic senses with the etheric senses. The astral body uses the energies from the solar plexus, chakras, and down. Okay? In fact, it builds its body from those lower centers. And that's why they call it the emotional body, right? The etheric body, which is more of a spiritual body, builds its material, or the bones, tissue, blood flow, and all that from the chakras, from the heart chakras up, right? The heart, throat. So it's more of an advanced body. So the senses in the etheric body is more of a spiritual nature because it doesn't have all the impurity traits within it. On this first page, I go into this a little bit. And this is from a previous class, but I wanted you all to have it so you can reference back. It's the first page. And it lists what the yogis normally list as the 20 impurity traits of the chakras. Okay? And those impurity traits is there's 20 or 22 that's listed normally. And those are embedded in the lower chakras. And in order to begin to fully operate in the higher chakras, you have to burn up those impurity traits. You have to do away with them. And then you can enter into a spiritual world where you pull on that more, the spiritual energies of the upper chakras, okay? So once you do that, once you gain control over the psychic energies within the body and not allow the psychic energies to gain control over you, because they will if you allow it, psychic energy or psychic powers is obstacles in your way to gain spiritual illumination. Because if you have the ability to read people's mind and to look into their past or present or future, then you can affect your own personality, the ego within you, and lead you down the wrong way. You can become ultra selfish, and you can begin to use this power to do terrible things. So that's why it's important. These are so important to control yourself and to gain control over that. So once you reach that contemplation level where you are experiencing psychic vision, psychic hearing, psychic smelling, you begin to use that to further educate yourself. Okay, it's like a person who all of a sudden they can see physically for the first time. You know, they have no depth, right? They look out the window, they see a car below them and 5 stories down, and they reach out the window to try to pick up the car because it's a toy car sitting out here on the balcony. They have no perception of depth, they have no perception. So the same thing, when you get to that level where you can begin to see psychically, you don't have control over these powers. So you have to gain control. So you study, you begin to study, you begin to use the Samyama in order to gain as much information as you can. You can get mental energy and mental understanding. You can get physical understanding too from these things. So that's what you have to do. That's what you do with the level of contemplation. And then once you begin to gain control, you can take it to the level where you begin to access the 5 and 10 senses of the etheric body, which radiates from the 3 upper chakras, the heart, the throat, and the Christ center, or the third eye. And then your etheric senses and psychic senses merge, and they become advanced psychic or advanced psycho-spiritual senses, where you begin to understand things on a whole different level of existence. Okay? It's a whole different level of existence. When you look at something, you can immediately see the karmic implications of that particular thing, why it's there, what effect it's having on the whole world or that population that's near it or whatever. You can see so many different things that it balances you to a certain degree, and you realize how insignificant you are too. And you realize also that you're connected to everyone as well. So this higher states of contemplation leads you to the meditative state. Now, at all this time, you're only using the small percentage of Kundalini that's flowing through the body, okay? It is when you get to meditation is when you begin to tap into the real power of Kundalini. Unfortunately, what most people call meditation is not meditation at all. It is absolutely not meditation, okay? And most of them give you the wrong techniques of meditation. Don't take my word for it. Go back and study the real swamis and masters. And very popular books. The autobiography of a yogi. It talks about real meditation. Where when Paramahansa Yogananda went to his master to check and see if his master was in meditation or in samadhi, what did he do? He looked to see if he was what? Breathing. Because in a real state of meditation, there's no breath. There's no breath. A real state of meditation, you go into a conscious state of death. Because why? You use the flow of energy within the body, within the nadis, that you gain mental control over this flow of energy, and you push all this energy down to the base of the chakra and down where the apana energy is, and you mix the pranas with apana, and then you enter the Shushumna, okay? You take those 5 major pranas that flows through that flows through the 242,000 pathways of nadis, and you bring it down to the base of the spine, and that gives you the key to actually unlock the 3.5 knot called Kundalini, to unlock it out of the dormant state that it's in. And then you push that energy up through the little tiny hole called the Brahmani. And you go into a state of meditation. And when you go into that state of meditation, you go there and you do a meditation on each petal. And when you do that, you unlock or activate that chakra under your control, and you can tap into the all knowledge space. All the energy, all the knowledge is there, and then you close it. And then you go to the next level, and to the next level, and to the next level, doing the same thing at each level, if you have the power or the concentration to do it. And then after you finish, and now the key is when you leave this level, everything below that is dead. It goes into a conscious state of death. This has 6 petals. This represents the sex center. So when you leave because when you activate the Kundalini, you have to do a meditation on the first 4 petals. That opens it up. You see, you learn, you gain tremendous power over that realm of existence, right? Then you go to the next level, all right? This is only a little bit. It's far more than this. I'm just giving you a general view because it's said that at the first level is what, 106? It's 106 worlds of existence?
118.
Yeah? No, between the two is 118.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Between the two. So it's like 50-something. Like 50-something, right? 56. So between the two, you have 118. Between the base of the spine and the sex center, there's 118 worlds of existence there that you have to conquer before you leave this realm, these realms of consciousness. And it's in these books, it's in these holy books that they talk about. And and each realm represents a Tantric ray that flows from the sun. All right? Each realm represents a Tantric ray. So when you do your meditation on each petal, right, you gain tremendous knowledge. And when you do the meditation on all, you fully open that chakra. And the soul is bathed in the light of the spirit, and you become one with the spirit, your real self. Okay? You close that down, you allow that chakra to enter into the realm of Shiva, and you go to the next level. In order for it to enter the realm of Shiva, what happens? It's in a conscious state of death. Everything below the sex center is now in a conscious state of death. You go to the sex center, you do the same thing, and you open up, and you bathe in the light of the spirit. Again, the tremendous knowledge of the bindu, of that chakra, is revealed to you for that space of time that you're there. And once you finish, you close it, and you go to the next level. At that point, this goes into a state of Shiva and is in a state of conscious death. You're taking all the energy up with you as you go. That's real meditation. And you become one with the all. And with anything that you're concentrating on, you know it. You know it in and out. You become one with that. Okay? That's the true state of meditation. Anything that you're not doing that consciously is not meditation. It's concentration or maybe contemplation. So Most of the world have it wrong. And you can go back to Paramahansa Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi, or you can go back to Swami Vivekananda, right? The Raja Yoga book. They describe it the same way I just do it. Sivananda, Swami Sivananda, the divine, what is called, divine life center or whatever, society, they describe it the same way. All the great masters describe it the same way. As far thousands of years back, when they took the Vedas and began to translate and they did the Upanishads, the commentaries on it, this is what they told us. Meditation is becoming one with something through going into this conscious state of death, bringing the body into this Shiva state where you can see the all of that thing. Okay? That's what it's about. And these are the methods in order to get there. These are the methods. So, and that is the 8 limbs of yoga. And all the yogas, whether it's Jnana Yoga, the yoga of wisdom, whether it's Karma Yoga, the yoga of right action, right? Or Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion, or Raja Yoga, the yoga of mental development, which is the king of yogas, right? Or Hatha Yoga, the yoga of physical development, or Kriya Yoga, the yoga of action, of yoga actions, right? Of divine actions, because in Kriya Yoga, you devise a system to do what? To walk a divine road back to God. Or Tantra Yoga, or Mantra Yoga. Mantra Yoga is a yoga of sound vibrations. Remember, sound is what? What did we say? Consciousness. Look at sound as consciousness. In this packet, I give you the four aspects of sound. It's on 2. I briefly go into it. And sound is the thing that actually locks the consciousness, the subtle sound. It locks the consciousness of the soul within the body. Okay? And in the great tantric teachings, it goes into that in depth. In fact, there's several books on that talks about how it's done. Volumes of information on it. The whole Sanskrit alphabet is a series of sound vibration that has unique power. There's 50 letters in the Sanskrit, and each one of them has a power. In fact, the way they do it is each one of these petals is actually a letter of the Sanskrit alphabet, all the way up to the Christ center. Okay? So it's seed mantras that have tremendous power, and they represent something, and it's impersonal. It makes no sense when you hear it, but it is the infrastructure of life, of the flow of energy for you. Okay? It's the original samskaras of the soul. It's how the soul brought the existence of you into all the realms of existence. It's through the petals. It's through those original samskaras. Okay? So that's it. I don't know what time it is, but if you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions? I think we went over time, huh? So if you have any questions, you can ask.
verse that when you said that in the Bible that Adam felt naked, right? I know that's allegory, but
Yeah.
is that going back to this? Is it, feeling the separation from Shiva? In other words, the soul kind of identifying itself as not being. If you linking it to this, what you just talked
Well,
about.
what it is that Adam was in more of an etheric state and not in the state in which the Absolute had dictated that he be in. In other words, because of his own karmic actions. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
See, we have to follow the law of karma. The one thing I didn't tell you, which we could talk about next week if you're here, that the more you get into the spiritual states of consciousness, the more the more you realize that you must follow the law. All right, the law of karma. The law of karma is the law of God. That if I do something that dictates that I have to go through this experience, then I must go through that experience or find a way to eliminate that karma through a higher action. In other words, that's how you do it. It's just like in this first stage of Yama, which is hard, and I went through this as a teenager, as a young child, because I was raised in this. And when puberty come among you, you get sexually, thing. And think about it. I was doing yoga exercises since the age of 3. Okay, so you get this sexual urge, but what do they teach you? When you look at a woman, think of her as your sister or your mother. And when you do that, it redirects the energy and the thought. And because you have such great affection for your mother or your sister, that you no longer see that person as a sexual object, And those are things that there's all different type of brahmacharya type techniques they give you in order to begin to gain control over your emotions and senses. Okay, so in the story, the allegory, Eve ate of the apple or the tree. No, it wasn't an apple, but a fruit. And now the thing you got to understand that Eve and Adam was one. They were one consciousness, right? So whatever Eve did, Adam was responsible for. All right, because they were homogeneous type beings, in other words. So when the law dictated that they did not go there in the manner in which they went there. Not that they were forbidden from knowledge, but they had to come to that point in the correct manner. In other words, you had a procedure that you had to go through, to gain certain knowledge or to do a certain thing. And that's just natural. It's just like if we were to tap into atomic power in the wrong way, we blow up everything. But if we tap into atomic power in the right way, then there's a balance and everybody benefit from it, okay? So the law is the law, and the law cannot be altered, okay? The law is the law. Now there's different levels of the law, so, and there's a good to things, and then there's a bad. There's a positive and there's a negative. But you need to balance the both so that it works perfectly. And when you go back to those stories was written in order to teach the law. They wasn't written so that you just believed them in the way they was written. No, it was allegory. And it had many, many levels to it. Okay? Any other question? Huh? Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and close out if there's no questions. Let's go, let's close out with a prayer. We usually do it with a prayer. And with the prayer, we use a particular mudra. You know? We stand to the east. We use this mudra to lock the energy within the body. You breathe in and out. You bring it down to your sides like this. And you close the energy up in the body and you breathe in and out to activate those, the energy within the body. And then when we begin to pray, you hold the hands up like this. Or you can do it like this, but what you want to do, you want to activate the heart chakra, and because you want to send energy through the heart chakra. And you imagine that a brilliant white light is coming down through the top of the head, down, and you release it from the heart chakra and the palms of your hands, the psychic center within the middle of the palms of the hands, and the fingertips, which are minor psychic centers. And you imagine that this great spiritual energy from the words that you were speaking is going out to the world as a whole. Let's go ahead and say the prayer. No, go ahead. And when you finish, you bring both hands together and dust them like this. And this will cut off the energy. And because you don't want to, because you have opened these chakras, you don't want the energy to drain you and you'll be sick at the end of the day. So you cut that energy off and you say to yourself so that no one can hear beside you, so it is done. And that ends the prayer.
You know its prayer?
And wondrous Spirit, everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive through their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In praise and greatness, O God, doth my soul sing, granted energy to sing on forever and